Welcome to Keiser Voices, the story of success, brought to you by Keiser University Graduate School, here where the academic world meets personal triumph. Join us today as we dive into the captivating tales of success.
Welcome back, everybody, to a special holiday bonus episode of Keiser Voices. I'm excited to introduce to you guys today two of my good friends and co-workers. We have Mr. Brandon Griffin, the Student Services Director from Lakeland, and joining us again, you will recognize Miss Jakeline Miranda, our Student Services Director from the Pembroke Pines campus. Happy holidays, guys!
Happy holidays!
Happy holidays!
So we're doing this bonus episode. We've been talking about online education. We've been talking about international education. But as we finish out the year, what do we do with all of that? And that looks like jobs in 2025. So why not give a gift to all of our listeners on some tips about job hunting in 2025? So what are you guys noticing have been the top qualities that employers are going to be looking for in their candidates as we look into 2025?
Brandon, you want to go first?
Sure, I can start this off. Some of the qualities that employers are looking for, they obviously want people who are team players. You're never going to be working individually. You're never going to be working by yourself. You want to be collaborative. You want to be dynamic. You want to be able to work with individuals of all kinds, different departments, different majors, different programs. They want to see that flexibility. They want to see that you can work with different people. They also want to see that you have a passion for your job. A lot of times we talk to students and we hear the number one reason why they're going into XYZ field is because a family member was in that field or they have a special connection. A lot of times we hear from the medical field that it's all about patient care. Patient care has become a number one thing that obviously you want to have that passion for your patients, but also think a little bit deeper. What other sort of strengths set you apart? Is there other reasons why you got into this field? We also want to see we also want to see you being dedicated. We want to see that dedication that you're going to last with our company, that you're going to stick it out through the hard times and really put forth your best effort for our company. Those are some of the qualities that I've noticed coming up most recently.
Miss Jakeline, are you seeing the same thing? I mean, those were some great, strong qualities too.
Excellent. Yes. I agree with him 100%.
So then what can students start to do to start preparing for success in their job hunt in 2025?
I would suggest to all students, be ready for great AI. I think AI is coming stronger than what we think in 2025. I think students need to be in technology prepared a lot. Students need to have the soft skills, hard skills, and most important, they need to be outgoing and ready to go for AI. The more I go online and I do any research, the more I learn that artificial intelligence is going to be the booming of 2025. Emotional intelligence is also another that students need to be aware. Digital and technical is number one.
I would add to that also just being prepared for what's out there. You want to be prepared for every scenario, whether that's going into an interview that you weren't sure you were going to get or are a little nervous about. Go and do those mock interviews with student services. Be prepared to apply for jobs that are going to come up randomly that maybe you didn't think you'd get an opportunity to apply for that within the company. And there's changeover coming in the new year, and now those jobs are available. So have your resume up to scratch. Make sure that you're prepared for everything that could be coming in 2025 as best as you possibly can be.
Yes.
And I think I'd like to add on to that, start, right? Start. Have that in mind that you need to, put one foot in front of the other and put something into motion or we're never getting anywhere. You got to start.
Don't wait for the new year.
Yes. December is the number one search month of, I could tell you, I personally got hired at Keiser University in December, 6 years ago. And December is the all companies want fresh. They want to have new individuals getting hired for January. And December is a big month for anyone that finishes colleges or that is going to actually continue their education but wants a job to start applying. To me, December and August are the two top months for many graduates to start applying for jobs. There's tons and tons, tons and tons. And I always say, select your 5 top job search websites that you
Mhm.
can apply every single day, and those 5 different job search 5 times in each of them. That's 25. Keep in mind that the more you apply, the more you'll be selected for an interview. You practice your interview. I always tell students, perhaps your first interview you won't do as well, but your second and third one you will do phenomenal. You know, so and then imagine if you have 3 or 4 different job interviews with different companies, and you get 3 or 4 different offer letters, and then you have it right there, and you're like, okay, which one should I get? That's the goal.
And to add to that, what a better time to prepare than when you have this time that you're not in classes. Don't just think of the holiday season as a nice break. Think of it as time to do those things that you don't have time for. You may not have time to apply to 50 jobs in one day. You have the time now over the break. So definitely take use of that free time that you're going to get.
Yes. Also, keep in mind that all of different campuses at Keiser University, we have multiple different directors and coordinators, even faculty that will be here to support you your step of the way. And many students don't understand that each degree they have different titles. The more you know about your degree and about the different opportunities you can apply with different titles, not just one title, and you're going to have a lot of different options to search and to find the right job that you want for 2025.
That's great. But that makes me want to ask you guys about resumes. So I can go on forever about one specific area of a resume, and I'm not going to bring it up just yet because I want to ask you guys about some tips or things that students can do to stand out on resumes before I ask you guys about taboos and trends on resumes. So what's something that a student or maybe they're not a student, maybe it's a potential student or, a community member that's watching this. What's something that they can do to their resumes to help them stand out in 2025?
Brandon, you want me to go first or you want to go
Sure.
first?
Up to you.
I think a resume, the strongest and most important thing on a resume is your skills. Skills are very important because we all have soft skills from previous um, job opportunities, but your skills relevant to your major is the number one. That has to be updated on your resume. And of course, a nice objective or a summary in your resume. Um, be different. Be a candidate that has great skills because you have them. You graduated, and take it to another level. When you have those interviews, speak about your skills. That will make a very big different than another candidate.
Kind of piggybacking off that, what I tell students all the time is think about the fact that you are graduating with a dozen or so other students who all have the same degree, the same clinicals, sometimes the same everything. What is going to make your resume stand out? What can you put on there that nobody else can? Is there some work experience that you've had previous? Is there some volunteer experience that you've worked on? Anything you can think of that's going to make you stand out. And really what that comes down to is when you're putting those experiences on your resume, explain them. Students often put 2 or 3 little bullet points, with the basic facts, but really delve into what you've done and really showcase not only your skills, but the results. If you can put that you worked with social media and you increased their capacity by 67% traction to their website, something like that. Or if you can say that you had an event that you were responsible for, What was the dollar amount that the event was placed at? How many guests were there? What was the coordination like? Showcase your skills in those areas when you're putting those experiences. Don't just list that, oh, I did this event and I was in charge of it. Really think what skills you utilized in those experiences
Mm.
and how that's going to set you apart.
I agree. When I look at a master's or a doctoral student resume, when I'm working with them, I expect to see that quantifiable data. So I'm glad you pointed that out, because that's the first thing I said. That's fantastic. You train people, but how many? How many people do you train in a go? What is that profitability that you help? What was that reduction in errors? Give it to me in a percentage point, right? Don't just tell me you did it, but tell me, like, if you're not excited, I can't be excited. That's usually how I describe it to them. So you need to be excited so I can be excited and impressed by you. And I think that's one of the things with especially again, like in a master's doctoral, we should be seeing that on a resume.
Correct.
So then let me ask you, because Jakeline, you said it, objectives. So I am not a fan of an objective. I tell students that's the first thing I tell them when I'm reviewing a resume. Get rid of it. So
Really?
I want to hear you. I do. That's why I want to hear what your guys' thought, because most objectives read, I wish to work in my field. And I always tell the students, well, so does the person next to you. So does the other 500 people who applied for the job. They all wish to work in their field using their degree, just like you. But how does that make you stand out from them? So I'm actually a bigger fan of the professional summaries or a skills summary, which you kind of touch base on, which is just an overview of kind of what the strongest points from a resume that we're going to see. Whatever I see up here, I'm going to see throughout the resume. But this is just, that brief synopsis for the, what they say, average 7 seconds spent on the resume at first look is 7 seconds, 10 seconds, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So this gives us that nice, robust, but impactful view as to what we should expect from you as a candidate. So I really want to hear your guys' thought on that, though.
Mrs. Heather, I'm a very big believer that a nice summary, a nice objective will make a difference. Why? Because that after you put your first name, your whole entire contact information, in case perhaps you have a LinkedIn and you're going to also put your LinkedIn address, a brief summary will make a very big difference. Why? Because it all depends how enthusiastic you also write that summary. A brief summary is highlights your professional experience, your skills, your career goal, and it's a section that tells me you're that candidate that is ready to go. That to me means a lot. It also tells me that you're ready. It's like opening a book and the book does not have a title. Sometimes when you go to the bookstore and many books just have a nice colors but does not have a title, it's not giving me I don't want to purchase the book because it's not giving me a title that is going to interest me. That's how I see a summary and an objective. The candidate is telling me a brief information about their professional experience and, of course, their strongest skills.
I, on the other hand, I do agree. I will say that I've taken a look at a lot of objectives, professional summaries, and you're right. Some of them just come out reading that way. I'm looking for a job. Well, everybody's looking for a job. So it really depends on how well you write that. I usually tell students to leave that on, leave an objective, leave a professional summary if they don't have a lot of work experience, if they need something to fill their resume. And I tell them that that's kind of the area to sell yourself. It's almost like giving your little elevator pitch right there. Yeah, they're going to look at the rest of this stuff, but what do you want them to specifically notice? Maybe you can tie it in sort of like a cover letter does with what the company's values are, something like that, where you can sort of grab their attention. But if you have a lot on your resume for somebody who's a master's or a doctoral student, you may have enough on your resume that you can leave that off because your work then becomes to speak for itself. So it's really a balancing act of how much do you need on your resume and what's the best presentation of selling yourself.
And I like that you pointed that out too, like both of your perspectives, because what that tells us is there is no one template for one person. Like, you're not using the same outline as I am. Miss Jacqueline's not using the same outline as I am. Everybody's resume is going to be specific to them. Just like the elevator speech that you mentioned, your background, your experiences are different, right? Each person brings something new to the table and different to the table. So we wouldn't expect them to feel or read the same. So by doing something like, I wish to work in my field, you're not telling us anything. So then how do we take that resume and then use it to our advantage? And let's say like a networking situation, like how can we make the most out of networking? And I know, Miss Jacqueline, we're going to start with you, because we had you on an episode before where we spent some time talking about networking, and you're famous within the student services directors by saying that networking is like dating with the intention to married. So can you start for us about making the most out of networking?
Networking is one of my favorites. Network is like dating to me. um, just think back. The role of networking is finding a job, connecting with the right individuals that you want to meet, and they could learn a little bit about you. It builds relationship. It builds. You learn a little bit more about the company, what they expect of you, but at the same time, networking allows you to have a wise selection. Not just that, I always tell a student, and let me see if you could think of this, Mrs. Heather. If you're networking, do you want them to select you as the right candidate, or you want to select the right company? Now, let's switch it around. Let's think of dating. Would you like a guy to select you, or you want to select the guy? Which one would you like?
Oh my goodness. Now we're getting difficult here. I mean, you have to select what's right for you, right?
You see?
Like, yeah, that could be your dream job, but if it doesn't make sense, the employer doesn't make sense, or the guy in your dating standpoint doesn't make sense, you're not going to be happy in the long run.
You see, that is why networking is important. You can settle. You have to know you're worthy as a candidate. You're a professional. You have all the tools. You went to school for 4 years, 2 years. You have what it takes. One of the most important thing is confidence. You got to build your confidence, and by building your confidence, everything is going to be perfect, and you can do it. The same way as dating. When a person separates from their husband or wife for more than 25 years, it's exactly like a student that recently graduated. They're a little lost, and they're like, what should I do next? So that is why, to me, is important. You got to go out there and meet new individuals for you to restart your life, right? The same way when you graduate, you got to go out there and network. Um, Believe it or not, networking has taken me to many new levels in my career as a director of student service. But not just that, meeting different companies that are going to bring new jobs and new opportunities for our students is very important. Um, you should network at least 3 times a week when you are looking for a new job. Like I mentioned before, in several of our meetings, there are great applications out there, and virtual networks that you can attend. Um, some churches even have networks opportunities nowadays. Meetups, there are meetup network for meeting new employers, opportunities. The more you meet people, the more they get to know you, the more that you get to know how the company works. Um, Become also a member of different professional organizations. You will have the opportunity to meet other individuals from other companies. And virtual and in-person event, I highly recommend that each student gets that opportunity. We all know that twice a year we do have career fairs in our own campus. And if you live in Tampa and you move to Pembroke Pines or Fort Lauderdale, get a hold of one of our campus. We always have different networking opportunities going on in our campuses. So network is my number one tip.
So, Brandon, what kind of dating or networking advice do you have for somebody?
Well, networking is also one of my key things, and I absolutely love networking. I try to network with everybody I meet and try to figure out where can they get me, where can they help me, where can they be most useful. And I would say, even as Jakeline was mentioning, you have a lot of opportunities to network with organizations, with clubs, with your community, but take it a step further. You're going to be home for the holidays. You're going to be with family that maybe you don't see very often. Network with them. You never know where your next opportunity is going to come from. You could be sitting on the couch at Christmas talking to an aunt or an uncle, and that may be the perfect opportunity to say, I'm looking for a job in this field. And they may say, my best friend, my neighbor works in that field. Let me connect you. One of my best job opportunities actually came from networking with one of my aunts. I happened to be on vacation and visiting her, and I said, hey, I'm still looking for a job in this area. And she said exactly that. My next door neighbor is a vice president at Xerox. Let me set you up with her. And I actually got an interview. I got all the way through the process, and they wanted to hire me for the position. I wound up changing where I was going, and it wasn't the right opportunity. As you know, you got to make sure that you fit the company, not just the company fits you. So it wasn't the right fit for me, but at least I got that opportunity. I got that experience, and it showed me where networking can take me. One of my absolute favorite stories, and I believe Heather has heard this before, is how I got my job here at Keiser University. I went home for a holiday break and was actually talking with my stockbroker of all people. Just mentioning, how's life going, small talk as they're looking over, what my finances are and everything like that. And I happened to mention to my stockbroker that I was looking for a job in Florida. I wanted to move from New Jersey, where I lived at the time, down to Florida, and I was looking to be in the world of education. That's where I have most of my background. And didn't think much of telling him that. Later on during the conversation, his partner happened to walk in the room, and his business partner said, hey, it's good to see you. And he goes, yeah, he's looking for a job down in Florida. Know anybody? And his business partner actually said, yeah, I know a guy down there who's worked for years adjuncting at different colleges. Let me set you up with him. I got set up with the adjunct that worked down here in Florida, who's adjuncted for several different colleges in the area, and Keiser University was one of them. And he said, you really should check this out. And so I checked out Keiser University, and I wound up applying here in Lakeland to be an assistant registrar. And I said, this would be great. I would love that opportunity. And I got an interview. I interviewed with the registrar and at that time, the dean of the school. And they said, unfortunately, it's just not the perfect fit, but please keep applying, keep looking for what might be here. And the registrar actually really took a liking to me and said, I really think you would be a great fit here. We need to find you a position. And so one day she sent me a job opening for the director of student services at Lakeland campus. And she said, I really think you'd be great here. You should apply for this. And so I did. And at that time, the campus president interviewed me, liked me, and was trying to make a decision, and happened to be in her office was the dean. And she slid the resume over to the dean and said, what do you think of this candidate for director of student services? And the dean said, that's the student there. That's the person that we wanted to hire. That's the one that we didn't find the right fit for. You should hire him. And ironically enough, the dean at the time was Karen Steverson, who is now our campus president here at Lakeland. So it's gone full circle. I now work for the person who essentially helped get me hired. But that networking string of going from my stockbroker to their business partner to an adjunct in Florida to the registrar to the dean to the campus president, I never thought that's where this would lead. I never thought that having a simple conversation with my stockbroker could lead to a long-time career opportunity. But that's what talking does. That's where it can get you. So while you're home, network with everybody that you come in contact with, your friends, your neighbors, your family, and see, hey, you have any opportunities? You know anybody in this field? Even if it's just, hey, can you introduce me or connect us on LinkedIn? That's going to get you one step closer to potentially your next job.
That's fantastic. I like that story. You both have great stories when it comes to networking. So if we're not networking, where do we start our job search? How do we start researching or identifying opportunities? Do you have preferred methods or sites that you guys use? I don't know if Brandon, you want to keep going and start this question
Sure.
off for us.
The first thing that I tell students all the time is utilize the resources you have. Come talk to us in student services. We have a lot of connections from that networking, but we also post everything on College Central. We know what the latest jobs are. We know who's hiring in the area. We have some connections with them. So talk to us and see if we can help first. Go on College Central, register if you have not, upload your resume. Let's get that started right away, and let's get you out there so you can see what jobs are popping up. I know student services around the clock is posting jobs pretty much every day. So you want to connect and see those opportunities that are on College Central. And then from there, don't just stop with that. Don't just expect, oh, a job will fall into my lap. Do a lot of research. Indeed is one of my favorite places to look. Indeed has a lot of great job opportunities out there. I also recommend if there's a specific company you're looking for, go to their website, bookmark that page, and go every single day. Every day, new opportunities are coming up. You never know when they're going to post the next job that'll be perfect for you. I check the same pages over and over and over again, and every day, new companies are cropping up and popping up and sending out job opportunities. So I would recommend College Central first, Indeed second, and then keep looking for other job searching websites. They're all out there. There's all different types. Those are the main two that I use, but you never know where the right opportunity is going to pop up on.
I also think that LinkedIn, you should have a good LinkedIn um, account. Update your profile right after you finish graduating. Have a professional picture. Have a nice also background in your LinkedIn. Make sure you include your work experience, your skills, um, professional um, individuals. I also say connect with different alumni that graduated with you. They also know other people that you could connect with them. By connecting and engagement in different connections in LinkedIn will take you to the next level. I got hired at Keiser University through LinkedIn. They actually reached out to me, and you guys will not believe this, but my first interview here at Keiser was December 31st at 1 p.m. I was actually at that morning at 9:15. I received a call. I was driving to another city nearby when they asked me, "Hey, Miss Jacqueline, we couldn't get a hold of you yesterday," and it was because I was really flying into my to Miami and my phone was on airplane mode. So we're trying to schedule an interview with you. And I said, would you like me to come in today? And I was actually 2 hours away already. I said, if they tell me at 1, at 2, at 3, I'll drive back. And that's exactly what I did. You also, as an individual, you also need to know what you want. I'm a very big believer that um, going after and what you truly want will take you to the next level. It's a new year coming up. I love doing vision boards. Every year I do my vision boards. Why do I talk about vision board? Because maybe perhaps you should try it this year. Do a quick vision board and vision what company, job, and what salary you want. And let us know if you reach that goal. You know, Believe it or not, building a vision board will take you, you're planning for your future. I put on my vision board, actually, it took me 3 years to get to Kaiser because I did 3 years prior. I wanted to work at Kaiser and I put the logo of Kaiser in my vision board and One year, the second year I re-put it, the third year I re-put it, and here I am. So visualize what you want, learn and reach out to different um, companies through their career opportunities. There are many, many, many different opportunities. For example, let's make believe you want to work at Google. Well, put on your vision board the logo Google and start applying at Google. You know, the more you want something, the more you want to work yourself towards that. You have to have a vision. And for me, vision board is very important. And I'm not going to tell you what is going to be my next position at Keiser University, but I am putting it in my vision board this year. I'm going to leave you to that extent.
Uh-oh. So before I let you guys go, I got two questions. One on our topic and one off topic. What is one tip of advice you'd like to give to students to help them feel confident as they enter the job market in next year?
I got this. Be yourself. That's really the key. Don't try to be the perfect candidate. Don't try to be the perfect employee. Just be yourself. Let your natural personality come through. Make sure that you're showing the best qualities that you possess, the best strengths that you have. Just let it all come through in the interview. Let it all come through in your resume. Show them what you are made of, and that's going to really make you sail and set apart from everybody else, because everyone's trying to give them the right answer and trying to give the right this and the right that and make it perfect. But just be yourself. They'll notice that, and they'll see your passion come through, and that sometimes is worth a lot more.
Yes. I'm also a very big, I agree with you 100%, but I also tell my students, read the job descriptions. By reading the job descriptions, you know what is expected of you, you know what they're looking for. A job description is going to take you to being who you are, as Mr. Brandon says, and it's going to take you to the next level. You as a candidate, you know what you can do and you cannot do, but it's going to take you to know that when they ask you a question, it's because it's on the job description, and you just have to be yourself. And being yourself and having confidence will take you to that step that you want to be at.
I love both those pieces of advice. And I want to add one that I find is a common mistake for students, especially those that are already working in their field and looking to grow. Update your resume while you are working, because you never know the most amount of information that you do as when you are in that position. So don't wait to make those updates as you're transitioning from one position to another. Regularly update your resume. So Brandon said, you have break, you don't have classes. Take advantage of that. Definitely take advantage and make sure your resume is up to date as we head into 2025. So it's the holidays. I can't not ask a holiday related question. So before we turn you both loose, and we're so appreciative of you guys coming on today and talking about employment opportunities for 2025 and tips for success. So thank you for that. But my holiday related question is, what is one tradition that you can share with us that you're going to be taking advantage of over this holiday season?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
I'm ready. One tradition we do in my house as I was a child, and now I do with my family. We always, my father taught us this. I was actually 9 years old when we did this. We do a red heart out of red cardboard, and in that red heart, in one side, we put 3 things we have accomplished in that year, and in the back of that heart, you put 3 things that you're grateful for this year. We do that every year, and I actually love it because it's part of your vision also of what you want to accomplish in the next year to come and what you're leaving behind. My nieces and nephews and my 2 daughters, they love it because they have something new to look forward to, that they want to know if next year they have accomplished it. So that's one tradition we do.
Oh, I love that. All right, Brandon, it's your turn. You got to share.
I love that tradition. I may have to steal that tradition.
It's okay.
Um, so I sadly don't get to be with my family being down here in Florida and the rest of them still up in New Jersey. But one family tradition that I absolutely love and I know is going to get to continue on this year um, is the traditional fruit cake, the passing of the fruit cake. So a very, very long time ago, sometime back in, I'm going to say like the 80s, back when my father was younger, he got a fruit cake from his father as a gift one year, kind of just as a joke. And the following year, he decided to take that exact same fruit cake and give it to one of his brothers. And that tradition has continued on unbroken. Every year, the fruitcake comes out and is given to a different male in the family. And we have continued it on since then. It's passed through every single one of them. I got it back in 1993, and it is the same fruitcake in its original packaging and everything.
And
It's
no one
still
eats it?
nobody eats it. The goal is that the year
Like
that there is no boy to pass it to, that is the year that whoever got it last has to eat it. So
Oh,
it's a little bit incentive to keep the family going. um, and we've
That's
come very
cute.
close sometimes, but it has been absolutely wonderful. We love doing that family tradition and seeing, okay, who's going to be the next one, who's going to open it on Christmas Day and see their reaction when they get this. What should be petrified fruitcake, but it actually still looks like the day it was purchased. The box is slowly wearing down around it, but the fruitcake itself actually still looks exactly the same. So that is one
Wow.
holiday tradition that I look forward to every year is seeing that fruitcake come out because it just is one of those, it just brings a spark of joy. And just to cheat and give a second one, while I will not get to participate in this year, we have a completely random tradition where we all get together at my grandmother's house every year for Christmas, and it's one of the most fun times. But I am one of 19 grandchildren, and I think we're now down to like 13 great grandchildren. We have so many people in our family. So as our family has been expanding, we have a silly tradition of at some point someone will say, okay, it's time, and we will see how many people we can fit into my grandmother's very tiny bathroom. And we have crammed in there over 97 people
oh my
in
Wow.
goodness.
total. It's a little, I mean, not very much space bathroom. It's, just a single shower and whatnot. And we've crammed those people in. We stack them on top of each other. People hold their kids. I don't know why we started this, but it's fun, crazy traditions like that that keep the holidays interesting.
Nice.
As my
What's
family's
your
favorite.
tradition?
I got you. I have two. So I have one that's been long going and one a little bit more recent. So our family's tradition for Christmas Eve has always been to make seafood gumbo. Even before I lived in Florida. So originally from Pittsburgh, grew up there. So even up there, every Christmas Eve, somebody in the family, for the most part, it's been my grandmother until she passed away. She would make the seafood, the gumbo seafood. Couldn't tell you what the actual recipe is because every time one of her children walked by it, somebody would throw something in the pot when she wasn't looking. So like they would add more okra or they would add more Old Bay or hot sauce. So like the recipe is never the same each year because it just depended upon who walked by
Was
it, right?
by.
So there's a base recipe and then there's whatever anybody did. After my grandmother passed, my uncles, I have a cousin, and my aunt, whom we aren't always all together at the same time, they would keep the tradition on and they have taken over making of the gumbo. At some point, I know I'm gonna have to learn how to make it, but luckily I haven't gotten to that point yet because I wouldn't even know where to begin. Um, my other one, I don't know if it's a weird one, but my husband, I think he's starting to think it's like a little bit of a weird one, is I have to get a new ornament every year with that year on it. And it started the year that we got engaged. So
Wow.
yeah, so and I've kept that
Nice.
on. Like last year, I don't know, you got caught up in last year. There was stuff going on at the end of the year. It was the first Christmas since my grandmother passed, so it was a different like Christmas experience, and we almost did not find the 2023 ornament, but we got it. And then I already got this year's ornament, and it's like, I can breathe now. And now the Christmas tree is complete because I have that year. And it could be whatever. It could be any shape. It doesn't have to be a specific shape. Doesn't have to be the specific year. I think last year it's a handmade ornament and it has the year on it. The year before that, somebody painted a glass ornament with and sketched the year on it. This year I found the golden snitch from Harry Potter, and it happened to have 2024 on it. So it doesn't even have to be like the same type of ornament. It just has to have the year on it for me, and I have to find it. Or I go.
It's a very
I get
nice tradition.
Anxious. Yeah. So
very nice tradition.
Yeah.
So, I like it.
And thank you guys for sharing your Christmas traditions and your insights. I really appreciate you guys joining us today. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for having us. I have my heart ready to go for next year.
There we go.
See?
I love it.
I have to think what I want next year. That's why I have it here.
And thank you all
we
for
want
tuning
all of our
in.
students to get amazing jobs. Sorry.
Yeah, that too. Write that down. Thank you all for joining us. We've had a fantastic year in 2024, and we certainly have more coming out of Keiser Voices in 2025. So if you've enjoyed these episodes, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us and share out the episodes, especially those that are tips that can help anybody, like our conversation today. And from all of us here at Keiser Voices, the Keiser University Graduate School, and the Keiser University campuses, especially with our Lakeland campus and our Pembroke Pines campus, we want to wish you all a safe, happy holidays and a happy new year.
Merry Christmas. Have a wonderful
Happy
holiday,
holidays.
everyone. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. Feliz Navidad.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Thank you for journeying with us today on Keiser Voices, the story of success. As we close this chapter, remember every story has its next page.